Last orders at the bar!
A night in with Mauler and the drinker, getting trashed with the web stream dinkers. A cheap night cause I'm feeling kinda thrifty, got a 10-pack of beers and a bottle of whiskey. Hop off the cork, have a glass of wine, I'll sail safe, I'll be fine. Trouble walking in a straight line before the Pinot Noir. It's open bar with our hosts, Mauler and the critical drinker.
All right there, open bar fans, what's occurring?
Hello. What's occurring? That feels like a Welsh thing to say.
It does, but it's got such a nice ring to it. I just really like it. What's occurring? It's just great. I want Nessa here right now to do the rest of this live stream.
Is it sacrilegious that I never watched that show?
It kind of is, actually. That's like saying you're not a fan of Anthony Hopkins or Tom Jones. I mean,
What?
Where's your national pride, Muller? Like, I thought you would have enjoyed it. That surprises me.
Well, it's not that I avoided it. I just never watched it. I was like,
Yeah.
You know, I was too busy watching good shows like The Simpsons. What was out around then? Doctor Who? I don't know.
I mean, Gavin and Stacey's been around since what, the mid 2000s?
Since the Great War.
Like 20 years, yeah. There's been a lot in that time. So I can understand how you might have missed it. But anyway, for anyone who doesn't have a clue what we're talking about, we will get back into it. Welcome to Last Orders. We're going to cover the super chats that we missed on Open Bar on the night. So if you're ready, Muller, I'm ready. I say we go right into it.
I suppose so.
All right. The first super chat is from Avarith, who said that Season 3 of Andor should cover the destruction of the Death Star, tackle Rebellion's growth after Alderaan gets destroyed, loss of personnel, and due to the destruction of the Death Star.
Well,
I think that would mean switching the narrative over to the Empire more than probably you would want for something like this. Not that I'm saying that idea isn't interesting.
He's kind of dead, so we can't call it Andor anymore. I have to change it up a bit.
I mean, as we said before, I think that was a bad choice of name, really, for what this show actually is. It's much broader than him.
Well, and he's nobody's favorite character. Well, I'm not going to say nobody's, but he's certainly not mine, and lots of people I've spoken to. Luther. It should have been called Lutheran, obviously.
Sure,
It should have been called Stellan Skarsgård.
The Stellan Skarsgård show with special guest Andor. Yeah, I don't know. I love the idea that somewhere some kid's got like posters and everything of Cassian Andor in his room, just totally obsessed with that character.
Well, I like him by the end of season 2 for sure. It's just that, like, you know, we're dealing with some powerhouse characters by comparison to him in that show, and then of course, like I said, he's dead, so we're gonna have to switch it up. But it's funny, you know, if they said like Tony Gilroy's doing a series that begins right after the Death Star is destroyed, and it's going to be about the Empire trying to recover as well as the Republic doing blah blah blah, but it's not going to include any of the legacy characters, I would be like, that's weird, man. But okay, sure, whatever.
I think he could still do a good job with it.
Yeah.
One thing I never really touched upon when we talked about Andor, and to some extent the end of Revenge of the Sith as well, is like you get a real sense of how massive a construction project the Death Star was. Like they were only just beginning it at the end of Revenge of the Sith, and then it's like, what, 17 years later that it actually becomes operational? Like, that's a pretty big investment of time and resources right there.
Well, see, some people say, like, yeah, it was Rogue One's stupid fault. And it's like, well, but hang on. If it's George making the Death Star, like, already a thing at the end of Revenge of the Sith, which means they just didn't finish it for 19 years.
Yeah. I mean, considering the size of a small moon, like, you can see why it would take quite a while to build it.
I feel like that's in continuity. We're fine, you know. It's just, it's a crazy project. But then I guess the funny part is they built a second one so quickly. It's like, no, they were building the second one the whole time. Trust me, it was just a big secret.
Yeah. How long did it take to make Starkiller Base? I mean, they were working on that too, sure. They had like triple redundancy.
You know that they said like the Death Star destroyers, they were conjured like with magic in universe.
Really?
That's what the like novelization or whatever says. Poor fuckers had to try and justify all that crazy shit.
I mean, you kind of think, well, why didn't you just conjure up like 100 Death Stars? Oh,
why don't you just conjure up winning? Like if you're gonna just
conjure up winning, or conjure the rebels out of existence instead of conjuring up like all this other stuff.
I mean, such a joke.
Yeah. Canon Folderall. Mission, good writing. Status, failure. Disavowed. That's pretty much the case, sadly.
Get him next time.
Aberith says, preferring Star Wars Death Star flaw being a design flaw due to secrecy like in real life, Project versus Rogue One purposefully making the flaw intentional. I kind of agree, actually. I don't like
know where
the
I stand
idea
on
that
that.
you work that flaw in intentionally. Like, it feels like you're trying to bend the lore around your story here.
I mean,
yeah, I don't love it.
It was always like a little bit questionable. It's just that, yeah, like that's kind of where I'm at with 50-50. It's like, well, on one hand, it's such an incredible flaw that how did they not notice? But at the same time, I guess in a sense, you can have that applied to a lot of devices in real life and big ones.
Particularly something as massive and complex as a Death Star. You know, the number of systems that would have to all work perfectly for this thing to function. Like, it's conceivable that there's some kind of flaw that they overlooked when they were designing this thing. Because probably even like it's beyond the capacity of one mind to even comprehend the vast complexity of it. It would probably be teams and teams of people that were assigned to doing parts of it, and then they all had to like converge together. Like there would be people then who would try and amalgamate that into one design. And yeah, I can imagine things got overlooked. So that kind of felt like a more natural explanation for a flaw like this.
Yeah, I mean, you know, because the drawback then of the explanation is just it feels a little I don't know, overcompensating. Like you don't need to do that.
Yeah. Hihiro says, "Hey Drinker, have you heard of the genre tokusatsu, Japanese special effects, and was wondering if you'd give some of the series a try? I'd recommend Kamen Rider Kuga on YouTube." I mean, all of those words that you've said mean not a huge amount to me, but I will definitely look it up just to see what it is. No, appreciate that, man. War Van Eagle TV says, just because I paid for this chat, it doesn't make it super. I submit Exhibit A right before your eyes. That is true.
All right.
Ryan Crawford. Mission Impossible 2 is still my favorite. Am I mentally retarded like the
Yes.
FNT guys? Yes, you are.
Hey.
Congratulations. Icon Bearer. I actually, you know what? Just before I go on from that, I would like to rewatch Mission Impossible 2 just to re-experience it. I feel like there's probably still fun to be had from like the fight scenes and the action and stuff, if nothing else.
It's a fucking weird movie. I don't hate it or anything. It's just, you know, it's weird.
Yeah. Icon Bearer. In my opinion, the best scene is when HA is reviving TC on the ice. What is that?
Haley Atwell.
Oh yeah, that was it. I mean, they knew what they were doing with that scene in terms of where the camera was focused, which I appreciate.
Counter argument that they did not know what they were doing. The trailer, I'm pretty sure, I could be crazy theorizing here, but I'm almost certain. I was looking at it with Fringy. The trailer, there's a shot of that happening in the trailer. Pretty sure it's not Haley Atwell, and it's the girl from his flashback that Gabriel killed. And I'm almost certain, I would want to bore you with how we've got like, we did a breakdown. We had like 7 significant reasons why the whole third act was reshot and changed completely. Like the story is completely altered. But pretty sure there was going to be a big reveal regarding that character.
Like Rebecca Ferguson's character.
No. The one that see, you don't even remember. There's a flashback that happens for like 1 minute in Dead Reckoning where Gabriel 35 years ago killed someone that Ethan cared about. Do you remember this?
Jesus Christ, I must have blanked that from my memory.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They set that up, and that Gabriel is one of like Ethan's oldest enemies, and we're like, oh my god, what does that mean? And it just doesn't get answered, and they don't even talk about it.
Right, okay.
My theory is that was going to get revealed. They were going to have a big boss showdown and conflict of ideas or whatever, and he was going to say like, it's, you know, Gabriel was the reason that the Ethan joined the IMF. Technically, that was.
Would you say that he was the architect of Ethan's pain?
They totally did that. The author of all of your page shit. It was me, Barry. Like I thought it was embarrassing trying to fucking link all of it, but whatever. Point being, that clearly got changed, and I don't think they wanted to involve a romantic interest from the past that Ethan still thinks about when they need to crank up the romantic side of him and Grace, right? So I assume that's part of why it got reshot along with whatever other reasons. But the big thing that I noticed was the story completely changes between Acts 2 and 3. And I don't know if you noticed. I don't know if anyone fucking noticed. We were talking about it on EFAP, and it's like, I don't know anybody who's pointing this out, but first and second act, do you remember what they say will happen if they put the poison pill into the podcover?
So that is going to it's going to poison the entity in the internet. I can't believe I'm saying these words.
You're
and
right.
Force
You're on
it to
point,
run
yeah.
away. So basically neutralize it and
okay. So
yeah, well, it flips between like it allows you to take control of it, or it'll kill it, and I don't really know what the distinction is in terms of how you how you influence
you
that.
should be confused because Act 1 and 2, the poison pill will destroy the entity. Full stop. That's what it'll do. And then Act 3, they say it's really sudden. The beginning of Act 3, Ethan says if we attach the poison pill, it will confuse the ability for the entity to perceive reality. It's like,
yes.
What? When was that a thing? You just made that up. We've never said that, and the whole time the movie was going. What the fuck?
Yeah.
And then it's like it'll confuse it long enough that we can trick it into this 5D optical drive. And you're like, what? When was that a thing? And it's just like, yeah, Luther made it. It's like, why didn't you mention this at any point in the what? Why is there some new information about what Luther has made? He's been dead this whole time. Where'd you get this from? What's going on?
Oh,
It's
Luther made so many plot devices for this movie. He was just like he was churning that shit out.
I just thought it was so fucking funny because it's like that's just a whole new story. You've made all this up. You're lying.
Yeah, you're 100% right. I'm pretty sure they rewrote the whole role of the podcover from the previous movie as well, because I got the impression the entity was actually based in the submarine and it was still active. Like all the blinky lights and everything were still on. Then when you get to it, this
pretty close to correct, because getting the podcover is the source code was supposed to give you control potentially over the entity. But if you remember, for some reason, Gabriel wants control of the entity, and he can only do it by putting the poison pill into the source code. And it's like, why would that give him control? Why does he think that would give him control? And it's like, shut up! It's a movie, action scene. Woo!
Yeah. Even the whole like entity communicating directly with Tom Cruise via like the little chamber thing that you sit in, like that was never mentioned again, and nothing ever came of that. The entity never communicated with anyone.
Dude, it called itself the entity in that little scene. I thought it was so lame.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
War Van Eagle TV says, I could say the migrant demo in the theater that watched it with me was very quiet and didn't make a peep. Then again, they were escaping ice and the heat for a place to hide, so that may explain things. I mean, that probably is a good explanation too. Mega Spidey Man, to all, what's your favorite James Bond opening song and why that? Ooh. It might be The Spy Who Loved Me.
I honestly have to go through a bunch of them because that's a good question, I think.
Nobody Does It Better. Yeah, I like that one. And GoldenEye is pretty solid.
GoldenEye.
Yeah.
I found your weakness.
My God, it's uncanny. It's like I'm listening to it right now.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Boot Heels says, in a better world where the sequels had never happened, what would you think of Sebastian Stan as an older post-OT Luke Skywalker? Well, I mean, he's basically a carbon copy of, Mark Hamill, so that's nice. I think we missed out so much. The thing is, it's less about the actor playing him and more about the storylines that they choose to use him in. Like, do whatever. Like, you could have had movies in the 2000s, like directly after the prequels. You could have done. George could have transitioned into a sequel trilogy. The actors from the OT would have been the right age to do sort of, a post Empire storyline. And there's like a million from the expanded universe that you could have used. Apparently there's some great stuff in there. I'm not super familiar with it, but like everyone's still mourning the fact that we never got Mara Jade in there.
Hey, like Disney did to the EU, you can just decanonize all of Disney shit once it goes public domain. It'd be fine because they're never going to sell Star Wars, but
you can, but it's just like we've missed out on so many opportunities now. The actors are too old or too dead to be used again. And it's like, that opportunity will never come again, sadly.
Hate it when they're too dead.
Strap Jockson says Bella Ramsey doesn't have eyelashes. I'm pretty sure she does.
I thought she didn't have
Does she?
eyebrows. Or my...
She's got eyebrows, yeah. Maybe she
Well,
doesn't
like-
have eyelashes, actually.
Maybe.
I don't know. We'll get a team of eyelash specialists on this one, post haste. Type Zero says, Mauler losing his mind over Mission Impossible is my only joy in life.
I mean, I was very disappointed again, even though I had low expectations for this one.
Yeah. La Parca says, who's hotter, Bix or Gin Urso? Fucking Bix every day of the week.
It's Bix, yeah.
Rusty says, I lost my grandpa on Tuesday. He was my Superman. Rest in peace, Grandpa Jerry, and fuck cancer. Sorry about that, man.
Indeed.
I feel like there's been 2 of those already on that same stream. Like, man, been a rough week for cancer. Totorangi says Battlefront 3. That's it. That's the message.
All right, yeah. I mean, a lot of hype for that at this point.
Razor Ree says, miss the days when we had good villains in our media who made smart decisions. Who do you think is the best villain in all of fiction and why? Ooh. Well, that's got to be Hans Gruber, as far as I'm concerned.
You think he's the best one of all time?
Yeah, I think he could take on anyone and win. He could outsmart the Entity. Only because of fucking duct tape.
It wasn't fair.
Yeah, fucking John McClane cheated, asshole.
Oh man, that's a weird. Why do I feel like that's a hard question to answer, even though it sounds very normal to have asked it?
Because there's a difference, I think, between say a really charismatic or interesting villain versus one who's super competent and just really good, or even who wins.
And say the difference between choosing someone like Hannibal Lecter versus Palpatine versus Anton Chigurh. It'd be like these are very different creatures in terms of what the fuck we're dealing with there.
I think the basis they're going to go for here is intelligence. I think because that seems to be the thesis.
I might go Vader. I love the competence, intelligence, the power, and the intimidation, and then the fantasy of it all, like the cyborg robot man.
Not Partagaz.
Well, that would just. There's a lot of guys like Tywin, right? Is like my favorite of that archetype. But what Vader has, like, Tywin's cool, but Vader's a fucking cyborg, and he's got the Force, and he's got a lightsaber. So
put the 2 of them in a fight together, and fucking Tywin's.
Yeah, I feel like Tywin's losing that one somehow.
And he died on a toilet from a crossbow.
He
so
did.
I mean, not see you outsmart a crossbow bolt, Tywin.
Yeah.
La Parca says that Imperial droid tossing that Gorman girl was brutal. It was.
Yeah.
That just all the bones shattered in that one.
I'm just glad they didn't like that. They even though there's barely any blood, it's more brutal than we get in a lot of things that do have blood. The screaming as well, right? It's just like, yeah, they're pretty scary.
Oh yeah. War Van Eagle says, hey Drinker, how do I join your channel and donate monthly? I don't see a link on EFAP where they successfully get my dollar bills, y'all. So, I mean, that's just standard. You can join up as like a channel supporter. What do you call that again? Where it's
member?
Yeah, channel member. That's it. So that's just like there. Whenever you look at my channel, you've got the option to click on as a channel member, and also usually on all my videos, there's links to my Patreon or Subscribestar, whichever one suits you best, really. So there's loads of options there. Certainly don't hide it. Snex says, I've been told that a lead-lined fridge survives nukes. Sure, of course it does.
Yeah, we all know
and
that.
you can be thrown hundreds of feet in the air inside one and just be totally fine when you open the door. Ian Simmons says, pull-out game needs to be strong. I'm not sure what that was a reference. Oh yeah, it was like to trap the entity.
Oh yeah,
to have perfect timing. War Van Eagle says, any truth to the rumor that the Band-Aid Christmas song with Feed the World chorus is actually a Haley Atwell tribute? I mean, it could well be. They saw the rise of Atwell. Scotty NCC says, I miss floppy hair Drinker. What a time to be alive.
Damn.
Hair controversy. It's hair wars. That's what it is. Right here on Open Bar.
You have to read these trading cards, and they're all different versions of you with different hair.
Yeah. Like
different power levels
and stuff. The more vertical it is, the more powerful I become. Snex says, plot twist, the AI wrote the script. Dun, dun, dun. That would be a funny bit of, like, fourth wall breaking, wouldn't it? Like,
what did you know about the South Park episode where the third act was entirely written by the AI? Like,
how
they
did
did
it
it just
go?
to see what it would do. Well, it's funny. It's very generic and, like, all the dialogue it feels like a weird version, but simultaneously makes sense. You understand how the AI got there, sort of thing.
Yeah. It's well, it's with all of these things, it's always like the potential, that's scary. Where it's at now, okay, you can tell the difference and it's still kind of clunky and a bit unpredictable, but like, where's it going to be 5 years from now? It's just going to get refined and more capable at what it does. Nick Harrigan says, sounds like a Fast and Furiously impossible mission. It's kind of what it is, like, just with a slight veneer of intelligence on top of it. But
we were talking about how it feels as though they keep doing, like, throughout the film, they keep establishing just how impossible it is, and then some smart ass will be like, "Well, it's Mission Impossible." It's like, yeah, but they're not actually impossible missions. That's not the point. They are supposed to be very, very, very difficult. They're not supposed to be actually impossible, where he fucking swims 600 feet vertically under the boat. Like, ugh.
This is what annoys me as well, right? It would have been so much easier to make that whole sequence way more tense if, like, it was more believable.
Yeah.
The whole, like, oh, I've got to fire myself out of a torpedo tube, and then, like, I'm swimming away, but then I get hit by the tail fin of the submarine as it sinks, and then, oh no, it's just hooked my oxygen pack, so it's pulling me down like another mile underwater, and I've got to cut away and swim to the surface. Like, it's such a stupid chain of events that would never happen. Like, it would have been so much easier to make that tense if it was just like, yeah, I'm trapped inside the submarine and I'm running out of oxygen and I've got to find another way out. Like, and it's a ticking clock. That's tense and also believable somewhat. Just do that.
Oh well.
Oh well, indeed. Melvin Deeply says, Mahler, check out The Sunset Limited with Tommy Lee Jones and Samuel L. Jackson, the only two in the film, written by Cormac McCarthy. Worth your time.
Maybe I will.
Zeitgeist Ruminator. Remember the Avengers, when John Steed and Emma Peel would quash a clandestine group's diabolical plans via rudimentary investigation, quaffing copious amounts of champagne and ending it all in a minor scuffle. Simpler times. That one looks familiar, actually, but I liked it. Jailer Kren says, gentlemen, it's hilarious that you're comparing your cities to a state in America. Mates, our cities are the same size. You don't just nuke a state.
What? We know how big states are. We're talking about the movie. Like, they say, so they're going to bomb something like London, and then they say, like, we're going to bomb one of our own cities or states as a show of good faith. Is retarded.
Yeah, I think it was more just because our conversation flitted between states and cities. Like, I think the plan in the movie, as far as it goes, was to pick an American city and nuke that. It was just like they would pick probably a state which was less, economically essential to America.
Which is hilarious again.
Yeah. Starship Trooper says, Drinker, watched for years, love it all. Have you heard of the AMC show Pantheon? It's a deep dive into ideas about consciousness and what makes a person real. Gatekept by AMC for 2 years. 15 friends love it. I watched it 5 times. Damn. I had never even heard of Pantheon.
Yeah, no, I haven't either.
But
not really.
Seems like a lot of people like it, so thank you for that, man. Lazarus says, I'm going to be a dad, Ellie. Yes, that was a line that was said. It's going to go down in infamy, that one. Cool Beans says, hi, gents. Recently found out my wife is pregnant. We're not telling people in real life yet, but I've been itching to tell at least someone. Figured an anonymous YouTube account and open bar could scratch the itch for me. Nice one.
Good job.
Well, congratulations. Yeah, good job indeed. You did well, son. Yeah, hope all goes well, man, and congratulations. Eileen Kenny Breen says, heard Richard Chamberlain died. When the fuck did that happen? Full-time lurker. I don't know. When was it? Hold on. So, 90 years old. Oh, yeah, March 29th. So that was like 2 months ago. Well,
Dang.
There you go. He played Alan Quatermain in those like weird Indiana Jones ripoffs. Well, I say rip-offs. Like Quatermain was around before Indiana Jones was ever invented, but the movies came out after.
Yeah.
Stephen Nurlander says, I'd like to see more recurring communities of producers, directors, actors just try new stuff. Like with Mike Flanagan's Regulars, the quality allows me to accept the new narrative, albeit with the same faces. You get that sometimes. I mean, there's certain directors that just love working with certain actors. Obviously, you know, Martin Scorsese has his like little stable of actors he loves. Ryan Coogler seems to really love Michael B. Jordan, so it definitely happens. But that's a real ensemble piece, isn't it, with Flanagan?
Yeah. They always like mix it up. It's always like a multiverse.
Yeah, I mean, I never really had trouble accepting it or anything. Like,
No, I didn't either.
The meta of like the actors playing different roles never really bothered me. If anything, it's actually kind of interesting to see their range. You know, to see them playing against type, doing completely different roles. James Moore says, Last of Us 2 confirmed Jerry only had bachelors in biology. He's closer to a veterinarian than an actual doctor. Season 3 will be Abby. Season 4, Farm and Callie. I don't think they're going to get 4 seasons out of this. I could see season 3 happening because they're probably in pre-production already.
Yeah.
Unless, like, if not, like, having filmed some of it. But, yeah, I think the viewing figures are going to be in the toilet for it. I don't, because HBO hasn't really released much more about it, have they? Which kind of tells its own story. The fact that they're not
Little
the viewing figures.
I'm stuck all the way back at like, why would people find this interesting anymore? Like, I don't know what's in there.
Yeah, it's not compelling, that's for sure. Nick the Greek says bulletproof fetus. Yeah, we've discovered something. I think
we
from
have
our ruminations. True. Pregnant women are the new, what would you even call them? Meat shields, really.
Flash Max, that's what we called them.
Yeah. So yeah, I think we need to deploy them into war zones immediately.
Get them going quick.
Yeah, before they drop.
You don't have 9 months to be viable.
I know, but they've got to be heavily pregnant for maximum meat shielding. So
it's just a shield that's building up. It's like charging until it goes off, and so you got to take advantage.
Yeah, you're gonna have to have spares lined up pretty. You know, you have to have a lot. Trev Retro says, if you had a gun to your head and you had to shag one, who gets it? Gordon Ramsay or Bella Ramsey? Tricky.
Fucking raw.
Gordon Ramsay would be the angriest shag ever. I feel like I could get behind that one.
You could get behind
quite literally. Pobaxi says the idea of anti-authoritarian parenting style is decades old by this point. No, I mean, yeah, this is a fucking show written by millennial idiots.
Like I said, it's not even, having a character do that. It's not impossible. There's parents who are that like retarded in real life in terms of just, oh, my kid will do absolutely anything and I won't teach them shit. But it doesn't even make sense for Joel. He grew up in the 80s. Why would he be like, oh, I can't do anything with my kid? No.
I mean, this as well, like, I almost feel like the generation that grows up in this post-apocalyptic world would be way, like, hardier and more, like, conscious of the rules, because, like, disobeying the rules will straight up just get people killed. I imagine they'd be way more serious and, like, focused.
Honestly, it was an opportunity for a really good scene, and they floundered. I was actually, like, really disappointed that he did nothing for discipline. It's like, okay, dude.
Oh, as if he was ever gonna. What the fuck can he be allowed to do? Snex says, no, Ellie, you're not a dad. You just look like one. Sleepy Arcane Doggo. For the Saints and Sinners milestone, we should get the long edition of Mahler's comic and Drunk Glasses for Drinkers. That sounds pretty good, actually. We've already hit a stretch goal for that, so I think there's going to be a hardcover version of this coming out, isn't there? Yes. And then there's other stretch goals, so we can get super stretchy. James Moore says, blame Craig Mazin as much as Drunkman show-wise. Listen to him in interviews, and it seems like he only partly understands the characters from the games.
That's fair.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Mythilus, does anyone remember Blarg from Super Mario World? I don't believe I remember Blarg, no.
He was one of my favorites, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, I don't remember Blarg.
John McKinley. Matt Damon said it best in Saving Private Ryan. Imagine a girl who took a nosedive from the ugly tree and hit every branch on the way down.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, fair.
Good line.
Reed says, what do you think it will take for mainstream Hollywood to re-embrace original screenplays versus reboots, sequels, and attempts at new franchises? It's shocking how often these films flop and studios still commit to the strategy. So it's going to be money. If enough of them flop and they've spent, however many hundreds of millions of dollars trying to make them happen, and they don't, they'll eventually have to churn something new. Like they'll have to try something new.
Yeah.
So seems to be where we're heading. Andrew Valdez. Joel in the game is way better than Joel in the show. If you remember Mauler, he doesn't cry, and given an excuse, he firmly says, "I saved you." He stuck to his choice. He never questions Ellie's sexuality. He was very caring about it, and this he is actively disliking that Ellie is gay. I can't stand what they're doing to him.
I mean, I wouldn't. They want him to be played as progressive, but not like progressive enough. I've seen discussions online say that it's like, oh, it's because he's from an earlier time that he's not as good a parent as he should be, as though he's already not way too forgiving. It's not about her being gay. It's about the fact that she's like betraying trust and engaging in a whole bunch of dangerous activities without any kind of. It's the standard shit. I don't know why this is surprising to anybody.
I mean, yeah, it's like I never got the impression he was like shocked that she was gay or anything, or like he was disapproving of it. It was more like, okay, this is something I didn't see coming. I need to take a moment to process it, because like you just walk in on your kid, and in a big like triple whammy, they're like fucking a girl while getting a tattoo while high on drugs. It's like, okay, there's kind of a lot to unpack in this situation. I'm going to need a minute here.
Which is totally fine. And I think it gives you a good excuse to have like a really interesting scene where you can get some stuff out of him, and you can actually make her realize like this is fucked up to a particular degree for a parent to have to deal with all of this, especially not taking their advice on like anything. It's not to do with it being gay or not. It's just, yeah.
Duck Faces says, Mauler, when do I get another 6-hour-long film review? I am starving.
Well, on EFAP at the end of every episode now, I'm giving small updates on what you can expect in the future. And so far, I've mentioned that a new video is coming. It'll be longer than 6 hours, and it is not going to be about a movie.
So, make of that what you will. Jeff with a J says, on an unrelated note, it took me watching both seasons of Andor to realize that just about every character in Rogue One had little to no character arc.
Why did it take you watching Andor to realize that?
I guess that shows you how it should be done. OMG Puppies, guest suggestion, Jeff Goldsmith from Backstory Magazine. He did interviews with screenwriters for all 8 blocks of Andor, several with Gilroy. Good suggestion. I don't know if he'd be wanting to come on or what. Richard Shaft, always remember that they prepped unique immune Ellie for destructive brain surgery the day she arrived. Why not spend a few weeks doing tests on her? Yeah.
No, it's all stupid. It's so insanely stupid, written by a moron. It's like he needs to fucking fix it. And it's so funny because he had a chance to fix it with the show, as in, when I say fix it from his perspective. But no, he apparently thinks it's perfect still.
I love how you jumped in there immediately like, no, don't you understand? It's because it's all stupid. Like, that's the problem.
It is, though. It's
well, like, yeah, totally.
Any rational person should agree that Joel did the right thing. And it's crazy. There are still people to this fucking day that say he was wrong. This is like, no, he wasn't.
Yeah. The Lakeman says, got to read an early script of Weapons by Zach Kreger. I know Mauler was interested, but the script is horrendous. At least Josh Brolin will put in a good performance.
Oh, okay. Well, wait and see, I suppose. I mean, a script can get better when it's translated into a film. We'll have to see. I mean, the trailer looked cool. That's all I'll say.
Jason B. Has there been a more insufferable character in recent memory than Ellie? I can't think of one. I have never been rooting for Infected or Raiders more than during this cringe. Yeah, she is pretty fucking unlikable. And that penultimate episode just killed anything that I had left with her.
I don't even... How much Infected do we even get anymore?
Oh, they show up whenever the plot needs them to.
Yeah.
That's enough. Blue says, for Sunday, can you two wish Christian a happy 18th birthday? I can't believe I watched every video you've done with him. I'm also sad that we're old. Lol, time flies. He graduates high school in 3 weeks.
Old.
Wow. Happy birthday, Christian. Hope you have a great day, man.
Yeah.
Lazarus says, Boogie documentary inspired me to lose weight. At least one good thing came out of that depressing watch. I don't want any meat aprons. No one should.
I have heard that from many people, not kidding. Like, that he genuinely, just watching him like flabber around has made a lot of people think, yeah, that needs to be prevented. And it's like, yes, it does.
He's helping people to get in shape. He's getting women out of the sex industry, like just by existing.
By terrifying. It's like, oh, good job,
God.
man.
Jeremy Soden paused the stream and came back to Nora in The Last of Us with the bald Asian lesbian. Are you playing some weird version of Cluedo? I mean,
Sure.
kind of how we ended up. Yeah, that actress is going to be in for a wild ride over the next couple of years. Nick Harrigan says, I watched EFAP's Boogie stream, and honestly, I just about died at the constant surprise Tipples cut-ins. Much like
Yeah.
Boogie, I couldn't fucking breathe.
It's just so much fun.
Yeah. Aliana Blue just dropped a tenner because I never managed to catch you live, but I'm sick at home today, and you've made my misery a bit more bearable. Oh, thank you. You guys all make our misery a bit more bearable, so we're helping each other.
Oh.
Shaker Silver, everything from Lilo and Stitch looks like it will be a lot worse than the original and a much poorer emotional conclusion. I hope it doesn't make money. Well, hate to break this to you, yeah, but it's fucking making bank already. It's had a huge opening weekend.
This was not a shock to anybody, though. That's an easy one. Like Stitch is really easy as a selling point. A fierce and cute little animal that can be plushified. It's just it's easy money.
I mean, I think from what I've heard, it's reasonably good. Like people seem a bit torn on the conclusion. I think that they changed.
Well, you know what they did, right?
Well, doesn't she get taken off by into foster care or something?
Yeah, the original is all about the importance of family, no matter how small and broken. That you through love and care, you can make anything work, sort of thing. And Stitch finds his family through all of them. In the new one, fucking Nani is like, I could go to university and Lilo could be taken care of by someone else. It's absolutely fucking insane how much of an asshole move that is for the story.
Yeah, that's kind of what I would expect from a modern production. It's like, I can go off and be a career woman and spend my life in some miserable cubicle doing PowerPoint presentations.
I hate that shit. So yeah, I'm probably not going to like it very much.
And the last one here is from Pigger, who says, Drinker walks into Disney offices and says, why are you gay? I mean, it's a question I ask often of them. Anyway, that was the last of them there. The last of us, the last of you, the last of the super chats. And
we did it.
We probably, on Open Bar this week, we will talk about the final episode of Last of Us, and then we can put it behind us for years, hopefully.
Until the next one comes out and you make me watch that too.
Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll just say this was enough. We've inflicted enough torture on ourselves. We need to stop now. It's becoming unhealthy.
Inflicted it on ourselves, huh? Is that how you're framing it?
Yeah, totally. You were just insistent on watching this more. You wouldn't stop. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for that. We will catch you on the next one. But for now, that's all we got for today. So go away now.
Bye.